This is the channel if you want to check it out. Hey, I've just watched this Howard Crowhurst video. He just done it live and it was really good about the pyramids. But check this out, right? Check this out. What do you think to this, right? I was thinking about those pyramids, right? And it said that they are aligned to Orion. And it's a very well-known constellation of stars, Orion. But it aligns better with one of the, is it called Sirius or something? 3 of the Sirius stars apparently aligned perfectly over, they kind of like would appear basically over the top of the pyramids when you were looking. Obviously not if you look directly up above, but, you know, like they were sort of like, you know, they appeared kind of like over the top of them if you were stood looking at it as a scene. So the pyramids have got something to do with Orion, but also that Syria, the Swan as well, which they align perfectly both with those. The Swan is well known to be, it's known for, you know, travelling and flying. Don't you think that it's interesting that, you know, there's an Irish name that's actually Orion, and that see also right amongst the anglicised form of Orion, descendant of Orion, a personal name meaning follower of. It means a follower of something, follower of Ryan. Now, the interesting thing with Orion is that, particularly if you're following something, if it's a star, you might follow it. You might follow the stars. So Orion might, well, if Orion is a follower of something, but Orion also means the name of a very, very extremely prominent star. It's the most easily and well recognised star constellation is Orion, the easiest to find for amateurs or novices. Orion's belt. And I think that was very, very interesting too, the pyramids. I've never seen anyone mention that before. They likely have. I mean, maybe it's been discussed a lot of times. I thought I'd just throw that in because also the rain, you know, rain is to rule, you know. Now, the interesting thing is, you know, with the whole 3 wise men following the stars, you've got 3 wise men, and there's actually 3 pyramids there with 3 stars over it, you know? And to reign means to rule, doesn't it? You know, to reign means to rule. Although 3 wise men, you know, were they meant to be kings from other lands, or were they meant to just be wise men? I've actually seen some videos that discusses this, and it said that they were actually meant to be kings, but, you know, we take them for wise men now. But we definitely know that to reign means, you know, reign. To reign is rule. Orion, reign, follower of. To reign, to rule, follower of rulers, but also could be followers of stars, you know? There's definitely something in that. I'm still, you know, with the Howard Crowhurst videos, you know, on this like Stonehenge is like, you know, they did all these geometrical mathematics well before the ancient Greeks and so forth. I'm starting to think that, you know, this whole missionary model of the Christians, like missionaries, St. Patrick and St. Christopher and all these missionaries who went around, you know, taking the religion around with them. I'm starting to think that, and a lot of people have actually said this, it's something that's out there that, you know, it actually was, you know, these people of, you know, the British, you know, Stonehenge and these ancient sites, this northwestern culture that you know, originally went out and did missionaries with that religion. And if they were some of the earliest people to do all the star mapping and star constellations, maybe they went to Egypt and got these people to build these things at certain places and positions in regard to their, this whole working out the longitude and latitude of the planet, which Howard Crower seems to be kind of heading in that general direction with what he's going, although, things like Karnak are a lot older. It's starting to look like that. There's some separation, obviously, between the Stone Age period and then, the Iron Age and Bronze Age. But at some point, they have got these reflective objects, which they can polish. We don't even know if, I know that light reflects through water, or they did have crystals. They were knowledgeable about different special types of, things like quartz or things like that, which it is possible to get. I'm sure they had something other than a polished, disc, like a polished sheet of metal, which they could reflect light. So I'm starting to wonder if they used people positioned at certain measuring points along distances and measured the alignments and so forth with loads of people, at different triangulation points and so forth with either shiny objects or something like that. Even if it was, going back further, because Howard keeps saying, he goes, we don't, well, the funny thing, what makes me laugh, which I kind of like it, but he keeps just going, well, no one knows how they did it. Well, here's a few ideas we'll throw in there, It's interesting that it was the 1920s when Woodhenge was discovered by those aerial photographs, and that was around the time Tolkien was writing, thinking about Lord of the Rings, he was in his kind of probably around his 20s or mid-20s, Tolkien, and in the Oxford University circles. And when he comes out with the idea for Sauron's Tower with the great eye on the top with the kind of like fork prongs that hold it between it, why does that seem to perfectly fit this proposal that Robert Langdon has come out with, like Stonehenge, Woodhenge was a great wooden tower with vast, massive beams, to hold it up. It seems that Tolkien and the Oxford circles might have already contemplated that idea in the private discussions, and that's how it ended up in Tolkien's book. The timing for Woodhenge being discovered would suggest that. That's what I think. Whether or not it's true or not, I don't know. I haven't been to Woodhenge, but they've made it difficult to understand. When you look at it, the post holes are a lot narrower than the true fact of their width. They're a lot wider. So when you're looking at it, and when you stand back, I haven't been to that site, but I'd like to go there and have a look at it and kind of like suss out, would this practically be a possible, wooden structure that they could have built so massive? But when you start to think about the pyramids and like how difficult it was to build Stonehenge out of stones, then I guess anything out of woods are going to be easier than that. And if they were massive ancient trees back then that grew to huge sizes, or a lot more than there are now, or if they did this method, we know for it might not have needed to be so high up on platforms. It might not needed to be something permanent on there, like a gong, or it could just be a guy who walks up and raises his crystal or whatever, something along those lines, or polished metal object in his hand or whatever it is. To say that you don't need the Iron Age or Stone Age to have metal and polish it and make it shiny, do you? You don't need to invent melting metals and casting them and mixing them to find them and polish them and shine things off them. Possibly you do need to get into those ages to start making shields and gongs and things like that. But as a handheld tool, you don't. We know they got this beacon system to warn from the Spanish Armada, and our prehistoric ancient site was one of the key places in that beacon warning system, and so was Breedon on the Hill. And the thing with our ancient site is that from one of them you can see the other one, well, the one that's been covered up. You can perfectly see it like a perfect platform, visual line of sight, and it would be perfect to send messages backwards and forwards if you were flashing them somehow, if it was the right time of the day, the right angle and so forth, or the right weather. And or then again, obviously, you've got these, you can blow horns. People can use horns and blow horns, but what is the maximum range of hearing someone blow a horn? It's got a certain range. I guess people can blow horns, but the thing with if you use this theory and model of points of light, which, by the way, the Prime Minister's got this Points of Light award on his website, and it's been on there for quite a long time, probably since, I think it's been on there at least since David Cameron was Prime Minister, probably even earlier before. You can then use those points of light to make alignments without having to, walk it out or step it out. That's the kind of area that I'm getting into with Howard Crowes. But also the word discuss, to discuss, you throw the disc backwards and forwards, you discuss something backwards and forwards by a communication. But also the fact that the light comes from the sun and it is called the disc. I think there's something in this Orion, and the name Orion, or the fact that it's three. And you get this motif of three wise men, or possibly like three. Where does the three magistrates come from, or in Justice you've got this three number. Although I think the Druids, they didn't have three Druids. I think they just had one Druid who made judgments, like they made private judgments. But possibly when it come to the kings and queens of the Celts, I don't know how many they had. But I'm just like, this is something to look into for further inquiry. I'm not trying to say what is what